My name is Brenda Mainwaring. I'm the CEO of the Iowa West Foundation. Thank you so much for being here today. Council Bluffs is a sports town. I am not telling anybody here anything that you don't already know, but I don't think that necessarily all of you know just how deep our roots go, and you don't necessarily know all of the stories. So what we're doing today in recognition of this being such a great sports town is we are going to unveil a permanent tribute to the professional athletes and Olympians who have roots in Council Bluffs. So every year the Iowa West Fieldhouse, where you are right now, hosts literally tens of thousands of athletes and visitors from around the country and even from around the world. And I'm going to tell you, most of them do not know the deep sports history that we have in this town. And they need to know the stories that we have to tell. So when Iowa West Foundation started this project, we talked to all sorts of people. One of the things we realized pretty quickly is just how many people could be on this wall. We do not have enough wall space for all the people who have terrific sports stories coming out of Council Bluffs. So we had to set some really specific and what we think are objective criteria for this exhibit. So anybody who was drafted by a major league professional sports franchise or who competed in the Olympics deserves a space on this wall, and we will recognize almost all those. And for individual competitors, we defined exceptional performance at the national level. So the class of 2026 includes jockey Terry Thompson, who rode in a Triple Crown race, and boxer Ron Stander, who competed for the World Championship title. Now, before you start pointing at the wall or looking at your list, yeah, we missed a few. That was probably inevitable. Alicia Turek was drafted by the Chicago Sky. Brian O'Connor was drafted into the Philadelphia Phillies. Jim Neely drafted into the Cleveland Indians, now Guardians franchise. And I think all of us anticipate one new face on this wall as soon as the NFL draft is conducted, Logan Jones, Lewis Central graduate, and Remington Trophy for the best center in the country this year. So, there will be another class of honorees. And if we miss somebody, I hope you will let us know. Thank you to the athletes who are here with us today, who apparently like the back row better than the front row. Thank you. We appreciate you being here so much and to have you bring your friends and family along with you. For the honorees who are no longer with us, we really want to thank the friends and family who are here to recognize their achievement, and for athletes who just couldn't get here today. And to the student athletes who are sitting behind all of you in the bleachers, the cheerleaders, the coaches from AL, TJ, Lewis Central, St. Albert, we invited you to join us here today because you need to know these stories of the champions who came before you. And we want to see your faces on this wall in the coming years. So I also want to thank the very many people who made this possible. First of all, the Iowa West Foundation Board of Directors, many of whom are in the audience. Thank you for understanding how important it is that we share our community stories. Emily Solomon, Nicole Lindquist, and Tim Galligan, who actually made this happen and who spoke with many of the athletes over the course of the last couple of months. Vital Signs for helping us make what I think you will agree when we're done is truly a remarkable exhibit. Midwest Trophy for creating replicas so each athlete or family can take one home. And our partners at Fast Break Sports who operate the field house, especially Alan Byer, Aaron Byers, Matt Kumro, and Brian Willett for being such enthusiastic partners in this. So, I am not the program. People who are more knowledgeable about sports are going to give you more information. We're going to start with Leo McIntosh, AL graduate, vice president at the Greater Omaha YMCA. He has coached and mentored literally hundreds of local youth. And he's going to share his perspective on what sports means to Council Bluffs. And then Zach Williamson, TJ grad, Channel 3 anchor, and a true champion for his hometown, is going to introduce each of the honorees. All of the athletes who were able to join us are invited to speak for a few minutes and tell you a little bit about their perspective on their journey. And then all of the athletes who are honored here will have someone come up, or most all the athletes will have someone come up and receive one of these plaques so that they have one for the family. So with that, I'd like to introduce Leo.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming. I want to start out by saying thank you to Nicole for inviting me to do this. It means a lot to be part of something so meaningful in Council Bluffs, but one, I'm not a public speaker, so I apologize. I'm just going to tell a few stories, and I know a lot of the people in this room, so I feel pretty comfortable. First of all, I want to apologize for any teachers that I may have had growing up. You know, we got a lot of high school. They're probably all not teaching anymore, but I wasn't the best student, so I apologize to any of those teachers, and especially in speech. I can't believe I'm up here speaking in front of everybody because a couple of speeches that I gave were not great, so bear with me here. I want to start out with just talking about the importance of sports in Council Bluffs, but I want to do it with the 3 Ps. I call it the potential, pride in Council Bluffs, and also the power of words and action. So I've had an opportunity, like Brenda said, to coach lots of kids, be part of lots of sports programs, and you know, I think the stories pretty much tell what's happening. So I got a little story about myself. When I was 9 years old, I got my first scholarship to the YMCA. And by the way, Brenda, I was drafted also, but I was drafted to the Navy and not to the pro athletes. So, and I always think I'm funny, and my kids tell me I'm not. So. But anyway, the potential that we have as young athletes, I started out, I got my first scholarship to play flag football at the YMCA, and I had to wear a Dallas Cowboy helmet. It wasn't my favorite team, but that was my first sports experience, and I didn't know what a scholarship was. And fast forward 40-some years, and now here I am giving out thousands of dollars of scholarships to kids in this community, and a lot of them in this room probably received scholarships from the Y. Fast forward to the next year, I got to play Rams football, Council Bluffs Rams football. Did anybody participate in the Rams football as a youth? We had Coach Wolf, who's passed away. He became my father-in-law for a while, but he was one of these guys that you had demanded excellence in sports, and I learned a lot from that experience. And we're going to skip the next 15 years because there was not much excitement about my sports career from there. But I'm going to fast forward to Abraham Lincoln, where I became a Letterman athlete, and I don't know if he's here today, but that year we won 4 or 5 football games. And, you know, now kids are winning, you know, Justin Cameron has kids going 12-0, 13-0, but 4 and 5 at the time, and we played in the Metro League. That was a good season. We beat the Benson Bunnies and then all the local teams. I don't know if that was the last time AL beat Lewis Central or not, but and you know, I don't want Brian Mainwaring to fact check me on this, but I think we won 5 games. I can't remember if we won 4 or 5, but that was important to me as an athlete. And you think about as your career develops, you know, these guys have had opportunities to play professionally and go through the ranks, but my high school days of football, I played flag football, and one of my claims to fame is I played against 2 professional athletes. Is Brian Radigan here? No, good, because I can tell a story about him. So as a senior in high school, I got to play against Brian Radigan, who went on to play for the Colts, and one of his catches, his quarterback threw a really high screen pass to him, and he was up here like this, and I made a really good tackle on him, and I'm like, oh, that's great. That became one of the highlight reels of our end-of-season banquet. So that was a claim to fame that I got to tackle somebody that played professional football. The next thing I did was we played Creighton Prep High School. And Junior Bryant, one of the football players there, was 6'6", 6'7". He was big. I'm gonna say 6'7". I'll use that joke. See, some people think I'm funny. The kids probably don't, but. Anyway, we played against Creighton Prep, and second play of the game, Junior Bryant came around pulling guard, and I was a defensive end, and he knocked me so hard into the ground, and I got up, and I was like, man, I was hoping to quit by halftime. And to be real, I wanted to quit after that play, but you know, he ended up playing for the 49ers and had a successful career in athletics. And the point to these stories is not that I became a professional athlete like these gentlemen here and these women here. I played sports, and I learned so much through sports as a kid. And so, you know, everything is not about being the professional athlete. It's learning, getting involved with your sports teams and growing as a kid and learning, you know, that there's scholarships available. So every kid has opportunities to participate. So And I just feel like everything that we do in our lives has a ripple effect on what we do in the future. And, me being a YMCA director and starting my sports career as a kid that got a scholarship, everything has a ripple effect from your coaches that coach you, your fellow players, your mentors, the community at large. Having this many people here to support these athletes in the community, it all makes a difference in how we succeed in life. So, coaches, everybody give the coaches that you've had a hand real quick. Oh, now I'm doing technology, and my technology is messing up. Hold on, give me a second here. And I know many of the athletes here. I know many of the coaches here, and there's always something about them. It's that slight edge that they create, that they practice a little harder, they participate a little harder, they have a coach that cares about them. Those are the important things in sports to me. I've seen lots of kids grow up in sports, from the kid that was able to start and not have any idea that they were going to become a professional athlete, to the kid that at 5 years old you could tell they were going to go somewhere. So it ranges everywhere, from the kid that doesn't know what their potential is to the kid that has become successful through lots of support. So the next thing is just pride and history in Council Bluffs. When they asked me to help get names, and as a professional fundraiser, I got my fundraising boss over here. She always says, "Leo, go make that ask. Go make that ask." It's funny how I had everybody's phone numbers. So when Nicole called me, she's like, "Leo, do you have so and so's phone number?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got it right here." So I helped get a lot of the people's names, and maybe we'll call you for fundraising at some point in time. But so just a little bit about the history that I see in Council Bluffs. The YMCA Basketball League, I talked to Tom Hannafin the other night at Mayor Walsh's kind of going away party. He told me when he first started coaching, helping with basketball, they had 47 kids playing basketball through the YMCA. In 4 years, they had 47 teams playing basketball at the YMCA. So thinking about that, there was probably 5 coaches at that time, up to 47 coaches that were mentoring and coaching these kids in Council Bluffs. And now you look around, there's so many basketball teams and so many sports teams and so many venues like this that give these kids the opportunity to participate at the highest level possible. So that's important. Next thing is I have a friend, Justin Cameron. I told him I was going to use his name today. The importance that he's put on development of kids and programs in Council Bluffs. Think about how many kids in the last 4 or 5 years have become college athletes because of Coach Camrad and his team at Lewis Central. So give Coach Camrad a hand for what he does in Council Bluffs. And when we talk pride in the community, I was with Matt Johnson at Barley's getting ready to watch the TCU football game. How many of you guys know Max Duggan? I think, is he here? Is Max here? I don't see Max here, but I think I saw maybe his parents here. But the pride that came out of having somebody from Council Bluffs, Iowa, be able to compete in a national championship game at the highest level of college football, that was pride. And it wasn't Lewis Central over here, TJ over here. I went to AL. It used to be AL versus Lewis Central versus TJ. But when it comes to Council Bluffs now, once somebody makes it, there's lots of pride in what we see in that. And, Matt had a big blow-up TCU guy outside his place, and everybody, my friends that were from AL, from TJ, they were all there to watch Max Duggan. So that's the importance of when people make it in Council Bluffs. And, you talk about a blue-collar grit young man. That I was just so honored to have him part of Council Bluffs and what he did. So then we have the rich history of wrestling in Council Bluffs. I can name thousands of kids that have become successful. We got the Thomas Gilman, the Kilgard brothers, Bill Smith. I've never met Bill Smith, but I used to wrestle at TJ, and his name was always up there, so that's important. And then the Paulson twins that are coaching at with the highest level. And you got Scott Porter and his boys. I'm hoping to see a lot of those names around the gym at some point in time, because you anticipate that they're going to make it big someday. And, a quick story on that. My son wrestled, if you guys know wrestling at all, he wrestled Gable Porter, Stevie Barnes, and, I lost the name of the third person, but that was his wrestling practice every day. And I told Scott Porter, I said, that's why my son became a basketball player, because he was tired of getting beat up every day at practice. But now he's a high school coach. See, that's the ripple effect. You get beat up enough, you do something different. So And then just a couple more stories. John Lieber, if you guys don't know John Lieber, he graduated from Abraham Lincoln. He's not able to accept his award today, but he's been a friend, and I graduated with his brother. These are people that have become professional athletes that still see value in being part of Council Bluffs. John donated to help the YMCA, our new YMCA. He helped, if you see his name on the Lieber Field up at AL, the John Lieber Field. Those are important things, but the thing I remember most with John is that we asked him to come up and speak to our 12-year-old baseball team. We were up at his field, and we're like, hey, the name that's on this field, this guy's getting ready to come talk to you guys and give you guys some advice. And his story to those boys was all about overcoming, adapting. You know, John wasn't the greatest athlete in high school. Bob is his buddy of his. He wasn't the greatest baseball player. But he became one of the best baseball players in the country as he grew into who he was. But his story to these kids made more of a difference to me than the donation he made to the Y, because several of those kids went on to play college sports because of, not maybe necessarily because of John, but he doesn't know that impact that he's going to make on those kids. So, and the last thing I think we forget about in Council Bluffs is Iowa Western sports. I see a couple of the board members here from Iowa Western, and I talked to Dr. Kinney the other night at Mayor Walsh's thing. I don't quote me on this. Brian Mainwaring does all the fact checking, but I think he told me they've had 25 national championships over the last 10 years in Council Bluffs. And they've created a spirit of winning in Council Bluffs, and that's what I'm all about, is getting kids to go out and win and compete at the highest level, whatever they're doing, whether it's band, whether it's basketball, whether it's football. It's just to go out and compete. Because, you know, Council Bluffs is a blue-collar town that has a lot of pride, and we just got to keep that pride going. And this behind us right here, I think, is what helps grow Council Bluffs. So, in closing, I know I've told enough stories. Just want you guys to know that, you know, as young athletes and kids in our community, is always remember your roots, put forth your best effort, and remember how important your words and actions are to others. So, as you talk to younger kids, I know we have a lot of the high school kids that go talk to the kids at the elementary school level. That's important stuff. So remember, you can make an impact, and thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, guys, good morning. Thank you, Brenda and Leo. Thank you guys all so much for coming. Super excited to be here. A lot of pride here in this huge Iowa Fieldhouse right now. Now for the main event, the unveiling of the Council Bluffs professional sports roster. The following 24 honorees are the inaugural class of individuals whose athletic talents have put Council Bluffs on the national sports stage. Today we come together as a community to celebrate their dedication to their craft, which has left a lasting impact, not only on the field, court, mat, or otherwise, but on our schools and our city. To the high school athletes here with us this morning, these honorees once stood where you are now. Their journeys began in gyms, fields, and locker rooms, much like yours, guided by coaches, teammates, families, and a community that believed in them. May their stories remind you what you're building today through discipline, integrity, and commitment. That can carry forward for a lifetime. On behalf of the Iowa West Foundation, it is my honor to recognize these outstanding athletes and their legacies. Now, before we do, let's take a moment to recognize someone whose work was essential to today's event. Brian Mainwaring spent countless hours doing the discovery research, digging through records, uncovering stories, fact-checking details, and making sure each inductee's accomplishments were accurate to the best of his knowledge. We're incredibly grateful for his help in preserving our athletic history. Let's give him a hand real quick. All right, let's do this. Without further ado, we'll unveil the first honoree here. John Lieber. The story of John Lieber is one of a local standout who rose from the diamonds of Council Bluffs to become one of the most consistent and respected pitchers in Major League Baseball. A graduate of Abraham Lincoln High School in 1988, John's journey to the big leagues began at Iowa Western Community College in 1989 and 1990, followed by a dominant 2-year stretch at the University of South Alabama. During both of his seasons as a Jaguar, he posted identical 12-5 records, leading his team in both strikeouts and ERA. His senior year was particularly historic, as he led the team to a Sun Belt Conference championship and was honored as a third-team All-American. Drafted by the Kansas City Royals in 1992, John went on to enjoy a prolific 14-season MLB career, characterized by durability and precision. While he saw great success with the Pittsburgh Pirates, New York Yankees, and Philadelphia Phillies, it was with the Chicago Cubs that he truly blossomed. In 2001, John delivered a masterclass season, earning an invitation to the NL All-Star Game and finishing the year with 20 wins, ranking 4th in the league. That performance earned him a 4th-place finish in the Cy Young Award voting, a testament to his status as one of the game's elite arms. And growing up, I had a picture of him in a Cubs uniform hanging up in my bedroom. He exemplified, his incredible command was exemplified by a near-perfect performance in 2006 for the Phillies, where he threw 7 perfect innings against the Cincinnati Reds. Over his career, he made his mark in postseason play with the New York Yankees and retired with a formidable record of 131 wins and 1,553 strikeouts. From the mounds of Council Bluffs to the bright lights of the All-Star Game, John Lieber has remained a proud representative of Iowa's rich athletic tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, John Lieber. Accepting on behalf of John today is his brother, Joe Lieber. Next up, we have Chris Hatcher. Chris Hatcher's path to the baseball history books began on the fields of Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson High School, from which he graduated in 1987, where his 6'3" frame and natural power made him a multi-sports standout. Choosing a baseball scholarship over a football opportunity, Chris headed to the University of Iowa, where he became one of the most feared hitters in the Big Ten. During his historic sophomore season in 1989, he batted a staggering .405 with 14 home runs and 67 RBIs, earning him third-team All-American honors. A 2-time first-team All-Big Ten selection, Chris was a cornerstone of the 1990 Hawkeye team that captured the Big Ten title, eventually leading to his induction into the National Iowa Varsity Club Hall of Fame in 2018. Drafted by the Houston Astros in the 3rd round of the 1990 MLB Draft, Chris embarked on a professional career that spanned 13 seasons and over 1,200 games. He became a legend of the minor leagues. He was a legend at my high school, too. Launching 238 career home runs and maintaining a lifetime batting average of .281. His crowning professional achievement came in 1998 while playing for the Omaha Royals. In a season for the ages, Chris hammered 46 home runs and drove in 106 RBIs, earning him the Pacific Coast League Most Valuable Player Award. That incredible performance earned him a call-up to the Kansas City Royals, where he realized the dream of every ball player by making his major league debut in September of that year. Chris's journey also took him international, including a stint with the Lati Giants in the Korean Baseball Organization. Whether he was setting records in Iowa City, winning MVPs in Omaha, or competing in the major leagues, Chris Hatcher was defined by his unbelievable power and his unwavering dedication to the game. So, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Hatcher.
Well, thank you very much. I want to thank Nicole that got me out of bed and got my stuff together, and the Iowa West Foundation. I think this is so important. Growing up in Carter Lake, going to TJ, sports was very important to me. If it wasn't for sports, I probably would not have turned out very well, honestly. But when you're in sports, it gives you structure, it teaches you life skills, and people start, when you're good and can hit the ball like me, people start treating you really nice, so you start acting better, and you start going to school, and you start listening in class. I was around the world basically because I could hit a little baseball. Pretty neat. I wasn't a very good baseball player, but when I hit it, it went a long way. And people like to see that. So I like I said, been around the world pretty much, and I like the people at Council Bluffs. We chose to raise our family here in Council Bluffs. Sports was a big part of our lives. We were sitting in these stands a lot. We didn't take like family vacations because it was select baseball or volleyball. So, and I never regret that. Speaking of the connections, my kids all were in sports, excelled. All of them went to Iowa Western and played sports. So we have quite the connection here in Council Bluffs. I just want to tell the young ones who are probably like, wow, how long is this going to go? Reach big, dream big. Not a lot of people make it from here, but here you can come and see the people that did, and I can tell you it wasn't just because of those people, it was the people around them that got them at that position. So again, thank you very much, and appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Next up, we have Bill Drummond. Bill Drummond's baseball journey is a story of consistent excellence and local legacy that began on the diamonds of Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson High School. He graduated there in 1962. Then during his time at Buena Vista University in Storm Lake, Bill established himself as one of the most dominant pitchers in school history. He still holds the Buena Vista career record for the lowest earned run average at a remarkable .99. Bill was drafted by the Minnesota Twins in 1965 and the Chicago White Sox in 1966. However, he turned down both drafts to stay in school and earn his college degree. After graduating in 1966, he signed as a free agent with Joe McDermott and embarked on a 5-season professional career with the New York Yankees. Between 1966 and 1970, he proved his reliability as a right-hander, pitching for affiliates ranging from the Kinston Eagles and the Manchester Yankees. Over 81 professional appearances, he compiled a winning record of 15-12 with a strong 3.29 career ERA. Shoulder problems in 1970 ended his professional career. While his journey in the minor leagues took him across the country, his impact back home in Iowa remained permanent. In 1992, Bill Drummond was rightfully inducted into the Buena Vista University Hall of Fame, cementing his status as one of the greatest athletes to ever wear a Beavers uniform. In 2009, he was inducted into the Iowa High School Baseball Coaches Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Drummond.
I'm going to be brief on this, but the coaches, as a youngster, playing in the Cub Leagues and the midget leagues here, our coaches were very knowledgeable people. They played baseball, they knew how to teach baseball, communicate with the players. Dutch St. Clair was my first baseball coach in the Cub Leagues, and the one thing I remember with them, I mean, this is what Cub League starts when you're 9, 10 years old. Remember, couldn't wait to get home from school to go down to his house. In the backyard, he had a string strike zone set up that we could go down there and throw through that. And something as simple as that, it gave us a visual image of where that strike zone's at. And I have to say that that did help me along the way. I used it throughout my career. It gave me an idea. Now, I didn't hit it all the time, but it gave me an idea where that was. So these coaches on up into Midget League, Merrill Morford, and let's see, Blair Smith, I'm sorry, I'm having some senior moments here. But those two coaches took a group of kids and turned them into some pretty good ball players. And that's kind of what my focus was, that 3 players from that team, that Little League team, Dave Wolf, Stan Bonson, and myself, ended up signing professional baseball contract with the New York Yankees. I think that's pretty good evidence to the type of coaching we received as youngsters with that. And that I'd like to thank Nicole for all of the guidance you gave us on this, and the patience for dealing with all my questions I funneled your way. But I want to thank the Iowa West Foundation for this recognition. I'm honored to be included in this group. And I want to thank my family for being here, making long distant trips to get here for it. I appreciate that. And I'm not sure, but I think there might be a group of TJ alumni, class of '62 here with that. So, thank you very much. Thank you. So, me too. Thank you.
Next up, we have Bill Fisher. Bill Fisher was a true baseball lifer, a man whose career in the professional game spanned an incredible 7 decades. As a pitcher, his major league journey from 1956 to 1964 saw him take the mound for the Chicago White Sox, Detroit Tigers, Washington Senators, Kansas City Athletics, and the Minnesota Twins. In 1962, Bill set an MLB record that remains one of the most remarkable feats in pitching history. He threw 84 1/3 consecutive innings without allowing a single walk. When his playing days concluded, Bill transitioned into a legendary career as a coach and scout, where he became one of the most respected minds in the sport. He served as the pitching coach for the Cincinnati Reds during the era of Hall of Famer Tom Seaver, and later joined the Boston Red Sox, where he famously mentored Roger Clemens through 3 Cy Young Award-winning seasons and a trip to the 1986 World Series. Throughout his coaching tenure, which included a stint with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, Bill was known for his old-school wisdom and a blunt, no-nonsense style that earned him the nickname Walking Wisdom. In his later years, Bill was a cornerstone of the Kansas City Royals organization, serving as a senior pitching advisor and a mentor to countless young players. His deep ties to the game were mirrored by his ties to the community. Bill spent his final 30 years living right here in Council Bluffs, where he remained a fixture at local ballparks like Warner Park until his passing in 2018. Whether he was setting records on the mound or shaping the careers of future Hall of Famers from the dugout, Bill Fisher left his mark on the game of baseball, fueled by a passion that never flickered for 69 professional seasons. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Fisher. And here to accept the honor for his late grandfather is Eric Johnson. Next up, we have Brian Polberg. Brian Polberg's baseball journey is a story of deep roots and ultimate professional success. A proud graduate of Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson High School in 1975, Brian's professional path began behind the plate as a catcher. He spent 6 seasons in the minor league systems of the New York Yankees and the Kansas City Royals, notably playing for his hometown Omaha Royals from 1983 to 1985. While his playing days were impressive, they were a prelude to a legendary 34-year career in coaching and management, almost entirely within the Royals organization. Brian played a massive role in the development of the core players who helped the Royals get to the World Series in 2014 and win it all in 2015, while he was the manager of the AA affiliate Northwest Arkansas Naturals. He returned home to manage the Omaha Storm Chasers in 2014 until he retired in 2021. In his very first season at the helm, he led the Storm Chasers to a Pacific Coast League title and followed it up by defeating the Pawtucket Red Sox to claim the AAA National Championship. Over his 7 seasons in Omaha, Brian became the second winningest manager in franchise history and served as a crucial mentor for future MLB superstars, including Bobby Witt Jr. and Whit Merrifield. His impact was so profound that in 2022, the Storm Chasers officially retired his uniform, number 27, a permanent tribute to a man who dedicated 20 years to the Royals organization, including 4 seasons on the Major League staff. Whether he was instructing catchers, coming back to TJ to work with high schoolers like myself, coaching third base in the big leagues, or leading his hometown team to a national title, Brian Polberg exemplified the grit, wisdom, and leadership that define a true baseball legend. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Polberg.
Well, I want to thank the Iowa West, get this up here, for including me in this. I mean, it seemed like just started last week that I started in high school, and now it's 60 years later, and I'm retired and enjoying my time home with the family. But this all started back as a young kid in Carter Lake. My dad was our Little League coach who won 3 state championships, and it all goes along with family. I've got the greatest wife, I don't know where she's at, but she raised 3 boys while I was gone 6 months a year. And they didn't have cell phones when we first started, so she couldn't get a hold of me without calling 3 other people if something happened. So thank you, sweetie, for taking care of them 3 boys who all went to TJ, who all went on to college to play baseball. So very fortunate there, but again, it all goes back to family. Mom and Dad drug us around. College, they followed me. Pro ball, they followed me. My friends network growing up is so important. You get with the wrong group, bad things can happen. So when we were raising our three boys, we wanted everybody to come to our house because we knew what was going on. It was the hangout spot. So enjoyed that. We just had a great support system. I want to go back to my TJ times. I had many coaches, but two of my favorites were Bob Nielsen and Tom Vincent. Bob Nielsen is probably one of the biggest reasons I'm doing what I'm doing, because he made me tough. And I know there's some people in here that probably know that name because he is still coaching. And just a phenomenal individual, and couldn't have done it without him. Another gentleman, Claude Hamilton, who got Carter Lake sports going as a kid. He would take money out of his own pocket to make sure a kid had a glove to play baseball. He would drive them. Just a great person who started Carter Lake sports. And Carter Lake sports were a big part of TJ. When we had Ken Savedlik pitch, we had 5 of the 9 starters from Carter Lake. Hatch started in Carter Lake. And then another gentleman at the end, Marty Wolliver, who was probably one of the best athletes I ever played against, went to St. Albert's, and he was phenomenal. I wasn't the great athlete. I was the guy that followed the rules, kept my mouth shut, and played the game and played it right. But you've got to go out. It takes dedication. It takes hard work. It's a lot harder now as a kid to be a player because of all the baseball you have to go. We would have 5 guys. We'd go down to the ballpark and make up a game and make it fun. Now you've got to have somebody sponsor you. You've got to select sports are crazy. I can't imagine the money that the parents shell out to get their children to play and to follow them and pay for a hotel. So children, appreciate your parents, because not only financially, but all the time and effort that they have to put in. So enjoy that. But the one thing I want to say, you've got to love what you do. If you feel like it's a job, and I see 14, 15-year-old kids have been playing 100 games a year, it's easy to get burned out. You've got to make it fun. You've got to work hard. And I was very fortunate. I spent 41 years in professional baseball. I got to see a lot of things, go to a lot of places I would have never gotten to. And I still ended up in Carter Lake, and it's still my favorite place. So thanks to everybody for coming out today to support us all, and thank you for everything.
Next up, we have Marty Wolliver, a graduate of St. Albert in 1975. Marty's journey in professional baseball is a masterclass in talent and evaluation and organizational leadership. It began on the diamond as an outfielder, drafted in 1975 out of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln by the Cincinnati Reds. After playing in the Reds and Expos systems, Marty transitioned to coaching, where he shared his knowledge at Omaha Paul VI, Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson, and Kansas State University. However, it was in 1984 that he found his true calling in scouting with the Detroit Tigers. Success came immediately. In his very first year as a Midwest area supervisor, the Tigers defeated San Diego to win the championship, earning Marty his first World Series ring. His career continued to ascend through high-level roles with the New York Yankees and the Chicago White Sox before he joined the Philadelphia Phillies in 1992. Over a 22-year tenure in Philadelphia, Marty rose to become the assistant general manager of amateur scouting, and his eye for talent was the engine behind the Phillies' golden era, as he led the scouting staff that signed the core players responsible for the 2008 World Series championship. For Marty, a point of immense pride during those years was seeing players from local powerhouses like Iowa Western, UNO, UNL, and Creighton, all wearing the Phillies jersey at the same time. Marty was inducted into the Professional Baseball Scouts Hall of Fame in 2009. Even as he nears the end of a remarkable 43-year career, he remains a vital force in the game, currently serving as a senior advisor for amateur scouting for the Miami Marlins, following a successful stint with the Chicago Cubs. Throughout his travels from the Midwest to the World Series, Marty has never forgotten his roots, often remarking that it is a distinct privilege to share this honor with the many professional athletes that his home of Council Bluffs has produced. Ladies and gentlemen, Marty Wolliver.
Well, I live in Arizona, and it's really cold here. I forgot how cold it is. Just a few things, I'll make it short. This is a beautiful place. I grew up a stone's throw away in Twin City Plaza, not too far away, and none of this was here at this time. And we didn't have much, but we had everything we needed. And to Brian's point, we were out in the street playing all the time, in the lots, wherever we could go. In Council Bluffs, we went and played. And every chance I get to come back here, I try to make it back as much as possible. Along those lines, I'd like to thank Emily, and I'd really like to congratulate all these guys. I've had a chance to, Brian and I kind of grew up together a little bit, even though we were different schools, and had a great career. But it's been a pleasure to see a lot of these guys play and be a part of Council Bluffs, which I'm very proud to be a part of. One of the great things that we did in baseball here in Council Bluffs, I think probably the best thing at the time, we brought all 4 schools together and we played American Legion baseball. And it was a chance for me to meet guys that I competed against constantly, rivals all the time, and it was a great experience. And we had tremendous success with the Council Bluffs American Legion program. And I'll never forget that, and some of the great memories and some of the great friendships that I've had along the way. Brian was a second baseman in high school, about 5'10", about 150 pounds as a senior. And the next time I saw him, he was 6'5", about 230 pounds. So things change quickly, which, to his point earlier, it can happen to you also. Some of the students that are here today, it can happen to you also. So just hang in there, work hard, enjoy what you do, and you know, it goes by very quickly. And I just want to thank everybody, in particular my group of St. Albert people. And I know some of them aren't here today. Brian Radigan's not here. Brian O'Connor, we're all getting ready for the season. Matter of fact, I started last weekend down in Phoenix. The baseball season's already started for amateur high school players in California, so in Arizona, so we're already playing. But, and Jake Waters, just really happy for all the St. Albert guys, and in particular happy for all the Council Bluffs guys. And one last story I'll tell you about Carter Lake. I used to play for Twin City and in Little League, and it was a great experience to play. And we played at Roberts Park. We played right over here at Westwood, I think it was. We played all the parks here in town. But as Lewis Central, Twin City, St. Albert guys, I knew we were in trouble when the Carter Lake guys showed up and they drove their cars to the game in Little League. I knew we were in trouble. I knew we were in big trouble. But again, thank you so much. This is a tremendous honor. Emily, thank you so much. It was an easy decision to come in from Arizona for this. It's a privilege to be here, and I just want to thank everybody so much for this opportunity. Thank you again.
All right, next up we have Stan Bonson. A graduate of Abraham Lincoln in 1963, Stan Bonson became a standout pitcher for the University of Nebraska. His professional journey took flight in 1965 when he was drafted by the New York Yankees. It didn't take long for him to make his presence felt on the national stage. In 1968, during a spectacular debut season in the Bronx, Stan posted a 17-12 record with a blistering 2.05 ERA to go along with 162 strikeouts. His dominant performance earned him the nickname, maybe the greatest nickname, the Bonson Burner, and the prestigious title of American League Rookie of the Year. In 1972, Stan moved to the Chicago White Sox, where he reached the pinnacle of his career as a workhorse of the rotation. That year, he secured a career-high 21 wins, and just a year later, he came within a single out of pitching a no-hitter against Cleveland. His durability was legendary. In his first 3 seasons with Chicago alone, he took the mound for a staggering 118 starts. Throughout a versatile 16-year career, Stan also suited up for the Oakland A's, the Montreal Expos, the California Angels, and the Philadelphia Phillies, seamlessly transitioning between starter and relief roles. By the time he threw his final pitch, he had amassed 146 wins, over 1,300 strikeouts, and a lifetime 3.60 ERA. Stan Bonson didn't just play the game, he defined what it meant to be a reliable and fierce competitor at the highest level of Major League Baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, Stan Bonson. Accepting on behalf of their uncle are nieces Christine Fauth and Lynn Jansen. Thank you. Next up, we have Dave Wolf, a graduate of Thomas Jefferson in 1963. Dave Wolf has fond memories of entire days spent playing baseball at Roberts Park in his youth, similar to those stories we've already heard. Before entering the professional ranks, Dave Wolf established himself as a standout infielder for Buena Vista University. His talent on the diamond caught the attention of one of the most storied franchises in sports history, leading to a selection by the New York Yankees in 1966. In the third round as the 50th overall pick. Over the course of his professional career, David played 63 games within the prestigious Yankees minor league system. His journey took him through 3 different clubs where he honed his skills with the organization's rookie league affiliate, as well as the Fort Lauderdale and Oneonta squads. David's transition from a collegiate standout to a professional in the Yankees system remains a proud chapter in his baseball legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Wolf.
I'm kind of stuck between rocks and hard spots here. I prepared some fairly extensive remarks, and I'm going to have to reduce the size of this. So. Hello, everybody. I'm humbled to be included with the group being honored today. It's a terrific event. Those banners look wonderful. I'd like to welcome the student athletes from our 4 area high schools and hope that each of you might get something from us oldsters that are talking to you today that would be a benefit to you in your life's walk. God bless you for coming. We appreciate it. I recently shared a story or two with Nicole Lindquist of Iowa West about how Stan Bonson, Bill Drummond, and I were linked together, and she asked if I might extend those comments a bit. So that's what we're going to attempt to do real quickly here, is to create a quick history of what baseball for kids was like back in the 50s and 60s here in the Bluffs. Our tale begins down on 26th and Avenue G, down there in the West End. In those little homes that were built primarily for veterans when they came back from World War II. Our dad, Austin, was one of those vets. I've often said to my 6 grandchildren that I wish they could have had my childhood. Life back in America then was simpler, kinder, gentler, and safer than it seems today. We said the Pledge of Allegiance every morning without fail. Our parents, as Tom Brokaw said, were part of the greatest generation, and they were. Life was pretty uncomplicated, not perfect, but very nice. Whatever sport was in season, we played it. But it was baseball, not football, that was America's sport at that time. So as 8, 9, 10, and 11-year-olds nearly every morning during the summer, a half dozen or more of us out of our neighborhood down there would jump on our bikes with our gloves, bats, balls, and cardboard bases on board, and off to Roberts Park we'd go on North 25th. Our baseball marathons lasted all morning, then all afternoon, and then we'd often return to play after dinner until dark. Day after day, summer after summer, that was our life routine. Playing ball was our life, and that, of course, includes collecting Topps bubblegum cards with our favorite players' pictures on the front with all their stats on the back. who wouldn't love to have those card collections back today, especially those rookie cards of Mantle, Mays, and Killebrew. Our coaches back then were turning us into little baseball fanatics, kids well versed in the fundamentals of good baseball. We had become addicted to playing games of what we called work-up, and we spent hours playing home run derby. It was great. And all the while, we were fine-tuning our baseball skills. Young players in neighborhoods all over Council Bluffs, for that matter, all over America, were doing exactly the same thing. Hardly a town in America lacked a local town team. All of them had some pretty good players. Around here, there were names like Dutch St. Clair, Nub Strachey, Lefty Williams, Lauren Babe, Jimmy Kennedy, Joe McDermott, and Blair Smith, a name I'll mention often today. These same men became coaches and umpires for our little leagues, and they were joined by others like Rudy Sedlak, Merrill Morford, George Mort, and Liberty Rocha. The quality of those coaches was pretty amazing. They taught us the finer points of how to play good baseball. They could coach those finer points because they too had earlier been taught those details. They insisted the game be played correctly, or else. Or else meant you probably didn't get to play very much. It was a simple lesson with a simple outcome. Ask any of us old-timers here today, and we'll all tell you it's true. I'd like to share the spotlight with my friends and teammates from years ago. We shared some pretty remarkable sports moments together, and it's a story long overdue to be told. That background explains how a group of kids, largely from Council Bluffs West End, with a few South Enders and a few East Enders mixed in, we came together to form the Style Select Midget team of 12, 13, and 14-year-olds. Players like Bill Drummond, Stan Bonson, Skip Schmidt, Bill Page, Don Dew, Spence Vasuri, Bob Grulock, Denny St. Clair, Tom Zimmerman, Danny Southard, Steve Minicus, Joel Jessen, and me. Each a nice little league player. But it was Blair Smith who was the real baseball guy around that team. He had long been a fine player himself, and he dearly loved sharing his baseball knowledge with all of us, and we ate it up. As a 12-year-old, I once watched Coach Blair grab a tiny little bat out of the bat bag during batting practice, whereupon he hit 4 nearly identical line drives in the exact same spot just to the right of second base. I marveled at his ability to control a bat, and he did that on 4 consecutive less than perfect pitches from a 12-year-old. You gotta be kidding me. By the way, that bunch of Style Select players went on to win the Iowa State Midget Championship that summer. That gave us our first taste of fundamentally good baseball and our first championship trophy. And those beautiful black and white Style Select jackets our parents bought for us, which we proudly wore until we outgrew them. It was time to move on to good old Thomas Jefferson, where baseball had already been solidly established with Iowa State titles in 1953 and again in '57. The latter team was led by Bobby Freeze, Chuck Ackerman, Bruce Johnson, Ron Ingersoll, and Willie Newsom. Some nice players in that group, folks, I'm telling you. We admired that group a lot, and they set a high standard for us to follow. Coach Dick Davis arrived as head coach at TJ in 1959 and promptly led the Yellow Jackets to another state title that summer. Again in 1960, the Jackets brought home another title, with that game being won by a sophomore chucker named Bill Drummond. All totaled, Coach Davis's teams won 5 state championships, plus there were 4 runners-up, all during an 11-year tenure as head coach down there. Dick was soon inducted into the Iowa State Coaches Hall of Fame. But it was the '62 squad that set TJ apart from the others. That year, we had the honor of winning both the spring and summer state titles. Coach Davis's 4th and 5th. And it was the first and only time both titles were won back-to-back in the same year. Notable players on that team included many of the same guys: Bill Drummond, Skip Schmidt, Royal McCollum, Don Dew, Bob Grulock, Denny Foster, Jack Holder, Tom Zimmerman, Dick Reba, Terry Coleman, Terry Leslie, Skeet Griffith, Dick Sanders, Denny Teague, and me. What fun it is to this day to have our names associated with that remarkable ball club. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the finest student manager on the planet back in those days, Pete Abshire. Petey, there he is. Say hi to the folks, Petey. Thanks for coming, buddy. None of this would have happened without Coach Davis at the helm. He was an AL grad and a fine pitcher himself while at Omaha University, now Nebraska at Omaha. Dick literally threw thousands of high-quality curveballs at us in practice, and some of us got pretty darn good at hitting them. And somehow, some way, Dick always had a healthy right arm, and that was long before Tommy John surgeries. Dick was a no-nonsense guy and a stickler for detail. We loved taking infields with him because he always made us look good before the game in front of our competition. We wore Yankee pinstripe uniforms back then, and we looked good. Our before-game infields were quite the spectacle for our opponents to have to sit and watch, and we loved performing for them. Coach Davis could easily have moved up to the college or professional manager level, but he chose instead to become a highly successful insurance executive here in the Bluffs. No less than a dozen of us from TJ and a few from AL went on to play ball at Buena Vista solely due to the pipeline Blair Smith built with BV's longtime coach and athletic director, Jay Beckman. Jay and Blair long before had played town team ball together with the Storm Lake Whitecaps, both before and after World War II. It's become commonplace for Blair to load 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 players into his Mercury station wagon, and off they'd go on a recruiting trip to BV, sometimes with his wife Pat along for the ride. For a time, we thought perhaps Stan Bonson might join us in Storm Lake, but the Cornhuskers came calling, and down I-80 went Stan to join the Big Red. Stan, Bill, and I all had the same Yankee scout, old Joe McDermott from Mondayman, Iowa. Another town team buddy of Blair's, Joe had long scouted for New York, and the two had remained lifelong friends. Blair, meanwhile, had been a bird dog for some other pro teams, but it was widely assumed he would one day replace McDermott on New York's head Midwest area scout. It seems unfair that Blair passed away before that job could become his. He would have loved doing it, and he would have been terrific at it. So that's how Blair Smith long ago tied Stan Bonson, Bill Drummond, and me together. He was our mentor and our common denominator. My own pro career was cut short by the Vietnam War, as 2 years after signing with the Yankees, the Pottawatomie County Draft Board came calling. I was teaching and coaching up at Neola Tri-Center and promptly got inducted into the Army even before the school year ended. So off to the Army, my wife Kathy and I went, and in no time at all, I was aboard a flight to Nam. Those days as a military journalist were pretty hard and dangerous too. My Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, unquestionably saved my life on 3 different occasions. My experience as a combat photographer led to a career as a magazine editor, public relations guy, and as a travel writer for the American Automobile Association. God had a plan for my wife and I, and it didn't include baseball. But enough about me. All of us from Council Bluffs who played with and against Stan Bonson have closely followed his career over these years. Stan has always credited some of his success to his Little League coach, Rudy Sedlak, and to his mentor, Blair Smith. He always gave each high praise. Stan was a fierce competitor and was highly respected. I recall playing against him early in the summer of '65, just prior to him joining the Yankees. That night in Omaha's All-America League, he showed how he had perfected a slider and some off-speed stuff, He had become an accomplished, complete pitcher, profoundly improved, I'd say. He was practically unhittable that night years ago. Stan richly deserves today's honor, and we're disappointed he was unable to attend. We all wish Stan and his wife Cindy the very best. As always, it's great to see Bill Drummond and his wife Sandy, who, by the way, was our all-sports queen down at TJ in '62. Bill was a marvel on the mound, and I had the honor of playing second base behind him during our Style Select days, then for 3 years at TJ, and finally for 2 years up at BV. Bill always had the most fluid, beautiful throwing motion, almost poetic in its grace. His curveball literally fell off the proverbial table, and his fastball accuracy was tremendous. He and his catcher, Skip Schmidt, spent time together as a battery from Little League through midget ball, then at TJ, and finally those college days up at BV. Always the consummate gentleman, Bill would never toot his own horn, so I'll do it for him. I'm told he still holds pitching records in Iowa. How is that even possible? To begin, he pitched in 4 state title games and won 3 of them with a no decision in the 4th. His records, among others, include 15 strikeouts in a title game, 17 shutouts in his high school career, plus 5 no-hitters, and an overall earned run average of 0.90 runs per game. That means he gave up less than 1 run per every 9 innings he pitched in high school. Add to that the fact we played far fewer games back then compared to today. This makes his stats even more impressive. Bill stood out from all the others, and it often seemed unfair the way he could dominate opposing batters. Always a nice man, Bill was highly competitive and was respected by friends and competitors alike. Best of all, he and his wife Sandy make a terrific pair, and they're enjoying a wonderful life together. I probably should tell you that there are 4 baseball players from Council Bluffs in the BV Athletic Hall of Fame. It's already been mentioned that Bill is in there. Also, there is Dan Southard, the older brother of Dr. John Southard, the highly respected pulmonologist today up at Jenny Edmondson. In the hall as well is Doug Smith, son of Blair Smith, who I mentioned a lot. Many of you know Doug as a longtime school administrator here in Council Bluffs. And then there's some other guy named Dave Wolf in there too. In preparing for today, I came to realize just how much these coaches were absolutely pouring out their hearts with their love for baseball. They made us better players and better men for doing it. I wish I had thanked them more for what they had done, plus blessed their hearts, each and every one. So that wraps up our trip down Council Bluffs baseball memory lane, and I thank you for hanging in there with me. In closing, I want to thank the folks at the Iowa West Foundation. Would you please join me in thanking them for their programs, leadership, and support for projects in the greater Western Iowa region, and for staging today's event.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Cole Jensen, a graduate of Lewis Central in 2019. Cole Jensen's rise as a premier goalkeeper began at Xavier University, where he delivered a standout collegiate career that caught the attention of the professional ranks. His talent led to his selection by Inter Miami CF in the 2023 MLS Super Draft, where he remained under contract through December of 2024, gaining invaluable experience within one of the most high-profile organizations in Major League Soccer. In March of 2025, Cole made a significant move by returning to his home state to sign with Union Omaha in USL League One. He's made an immediate impact for the Owls, showcasing the skill and composure that have become his trademarks. During the 2025 season, Cole appeared in 5 matches, logging 450 minutes of action. Most impressively, he registered a stellar 73.7% save rate, solidifying his reputation as a formidable presence between the posts and a key asset to Omaha's defensive line. Ladies and gentlemen, Cole Jensen. Accepting on behalf of Cole today are his parents, Lisa and Chris Jensen. Next up, we have Ron Stander, a graduate of Abraham Lincoln High School in 1962. Ron Stander remains a legendary figure in the world of professional boxing, a hard-hitting heavyweight whose career spanned from 1969 to 1982. He's best remembered for a historic night on May 25, 1972, when he challenged the undefeated Smokin' Joe Frazier for the world heavyweight title. It was held at the Omaha Civic Auditorium, and the bout marked the first time that the city had ever hosted an event of such magnitude. While the fight ended in the 5th round by technical knockout, Ron stunned the boxing world in the opening rounds by holding his own against the reigning champion, proving he belonged on the sport's grandest stage. Beyond the Frazier fight, Ron's resume was filled with remarkable feats, including a 1970 knockout victory over the formidable Ernie Shavers, the man who would later go the distance in a 15-round thriller against Muhammad Ali. Known affectionately as the Bluffs Butcher, a title that later became the subject of a 2004 documentary, Ron finished his professional career with an impressive 37 wins across 61 bouts. While he found fame in the ring, his athletic roots ran deep in the local community. Long before he was a heavyweight contender, Ron was a standout baseball player at Abraham Lincoln High School, and in a remarkable twist of sports history, he served as the catcher for his fellow honoree today, Stan Bonson. From the baseball diamonds of Council Bluffs to a world title fight in Omaha, Ron Stander's life was defined by a grit and competitive spirit that truly made him a people's champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Stander. Here to accept the honor for their late father is Ron's daughter, Angela Carberry Stander. Next up, we have Ann Kamesic-Fatovich, a graduate of Abraham Lincoln in 1941. Ann Kamesic-Fatovich was a dominant force in the professional ranks. From 1949 to 1953, she served as a star pitcher for the Chicago Queens in the National Girls Baseball League. While many are familiar with the league depicted in the movie A League of Their Own, Ann played for its fierce rival organization, where she became a household name. Pitching underhanded, according to league rules, she was feared for her lightning-fast fastball, a pitch that propelled her to Rookie of the Year honors in 1949, and anchored a dynasty that saw her team win 4 consecutive league championships. The peak of her individual brilliance came in July of 1950, when she etched her name into the history books by throwing a no-hitter. Long after her playing days, she actually came and spoke to my Little League baseball team before a game. We were all so inspired. She was an incredible person, stuck around for the game. We won the game. She became our good luck charm, really moving forward the rest of the season. But just a pioneer of the game. She was permanently honored in 2017 when the softball fields at the new Council Bluffs Athletic Complex were named in her honor. The tribute ensures that every young athlete who steps onto those diamonds is reminded of the Chicago Queen from their own backyard, who proved that a powerful arm and a competitive spirit, you can reach the pinnacle of professional sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Ann Kamesic-Fatovich. Here to accept the honor on behalf of Abraham Lincoln High School's assistant principal, Rob Lindquist. Next up, we have Terry Thompson, a graduate of Abraham Lincoln High School in 1990. The career of Terry Thompson is a remarkable story of endurance and elite skill that spans over 3 decades of professional horse racing. Since his first professional jockey start in 1993, Terry has become synonymous with excellence on the Midwest circuit, particularly at Prairie Meadows Racetrack in Altoona. A dominant force in Iowa racing history, he's been crowned the track's champion jockey 9 times, proving his mastery over the dirt and turf year after year. One of his most legendary afternoons came in May of 2002, when he delivered a performance for the history books by riding 6 winners on a single card. 6 winners, that's pretty wild. That set a Prairie Meadows record, and Terry's talent frequently took him to the sport's most prestigious stages. In 2010, he realized every jockey's dream by competing in the Run for the Roses, guiding the horse Dublin to an impressive 7th place finish in the Kentucky Derby. His career is defined by these high-stakes moments, including major victories in the Arkansas Derby and the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes. With 23,315 career starts, he has secured 3,356 wins and finished in the top 3 more than 9,250 times. By the time he surpassed the incredible milestone of $70.6 million earned in lifetime race winnings, Terry Thompson had firmly established himself not just as a local legend from Omaha, but as one of the most respected and prolific riders in the history of American thoroughbred racing. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry Thompson.
Thank you for having me here. Nicole wanted me to kind of tell you my story. It's a little different having a horse jockey from Council Bluffs, Iowa. So when people heard that I was a professional jockey for 30 years, they usually assume I grew up around horses, that I was riding since I was a kid. The truth is, I never rode a horse until after graduating Abraham Lincoln High School in 1990. After graduating, I went to Goshen, Kentucky, and started working as a thoroughbred farm for Hall of Fame trainer Jack Vanberg. I was learning everything from the ground up. Early mornings, hard work. Not long after that, I rode my first race at Exarban in 1992, which meant a lot since so many of my family and friends could come cheer me on there. Once I started racing full-time back in Kentucky, things began to move quickly. I was fortunate to connect with one of the top agents at the time, an agent who represented the leading rider on the circuit. That relationship changed everything. I worked with him for the next 10 years racing throughout Kentucky circuit, learning the business, the discipline, the mental side of the sport. Eventually, I made a big decision and switched circuits, moving to the Midwest. I came to Prairie Meadows in Des Moines, Iowa, with a new agent, racing there in the summer. In the winters, I rode at Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. In the fall, I rode Hoosier Park in Indiana. That move turned out to be pivotal. I won several riding titles at each of these tracks. And those wins opened doors. They gave me opportunity to connect with the right trainers, owners, which ultimately led to racing on the biggest stages in the sport, the Kentucky Derby twice, the Breeders' Cup. But what makes my story a little different, a lot of other jockeys, is how I got there. Like I said, I didn't grow up riding horses, but I did grow up as an athlete. I played soccer, did gymnastics, rode motorcycles most of my life. All that taught me balance, body awareness, quick decision making, and how to stay centered while moving at a speed. To me, riding a thoroughbred wasn't different. It was about balance, keeping your weight centered, knowing when to learn left, right, react instinctively. and trust your body. Those skills transferred more than people might expect. I ended up riding professionally for 30 years, winning over 3,000 races, and retired in 2021. Looking back, what I'm most proud of isn't the wins or the big races, it's the longevity, showing up every day, adapting as the sport changed, staying competitive, and earning the trust of trainers and owners year after year. If there's one thing in my career it taught me, it's that no single path to success. You don't have to start early. You don't have to fit the mold. What matters is work ethic, the right relationships, and being willing to risk when opportunities show up. I'm grateful for the people who believe in me along the way, for the horses that carried me, and for a career that gave me more than I ever imagined when I stepped onto a farm in Kentucky after high school. Thank you.
Next up, we have Thomas Gilman. In the world of international wrestling, Thomas Gilman has established himself as a fierce competitor with a never-back-down style that has taken him to the very top of the podium. His journey to global stardom was paved with the success at the University of Iowa, where he was a three-time Division I All-American. Thomas reached the national finals in 2016 and secured a Big Ten championship in 2017, setting the stage for a professional freestyle career that would see him represent the United States on the world's biggest stages. Thomas reached the pinnacle of the sport at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, where he captured the bronze medal in the 57-kilogram freestyle category. He followed that performance up with an incredible run at the World Championships, winning gold in Oslo in 2021 and adding silver medals in both 2017 and 2022. His dominance extended across the Americas as well, earning 2 Pan American gold medals and a bronze throughout his professional journey. Thomas has trained under the guidance of the legendary Cael Sanderson, and in April of 2025, Thomas joined Sanderson at Penn State, where he's now part of the coaching staff. In his new role, he's passing on his world-class expertise to the next generation, while continuing to train with one of the most elite environments in the sport. From his roots as a 4-time state champion to his status as an Olympic and world medalist, Thomas Gilman remains a shining example of the grit and excellence that defines a champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Thomas Gilman. Accepting for Thomas today is his mother, Cherie Gilman. Next up, we have Zoanne Olsen Jensen. Zoanne Olsen Jensen stands as one of the most decorated and trailblazing figures in the history of American diving. Her grace and skill on the 3-meter springboard earned her a place on the world stage during 2 consecutive Olympic Games. In the 1948 London Olympics, she captured the silver medal. She followed that success 4 years later at the 1952 Helsinki Games by bringing home the bronze. These performances solidified her reputation as a global elite, but her dominance at home was equally undeniable. Throughout her storied career, Zoanne amassed an incredible 12 AAU diving titles, a feat of consistency that made her a household name in amateur sports. Her excellence was so pronounced that she was a 3-time nominee for the James E. Sullivan Award, an honor reserved for the nation's most outstanding amateur athlete. To put that in perspective, this is the same prestigious award recently won by superstars like Caitlin Clark. A proud member of the Iowa Sports Hall of Fame, Zoanne Olsen Jensen's legacy continues to inspire generations of athletes, proving that with talent and dedication, one can soar from the local pools of Council Bluffs, Iowa, to the heights of Olympic glory. Ladies and gentlemen, Zoanne Olsen Jensen. Next up, we have Bill Smith. A graduate of Council Bluffs Thomas Jefferson High School, Bill went on to become a dominant force for the Iowa State Teachers College, now known as the University of Northern Iowa. During his collegiate career, he captured 2 consecutive NCAA championships in 1949 and 1950. His leadership on the mat was instrumental in the Panthers' historic rise. After finishing as national runners-up in 1949, Bill led his team to the ultimate prize, securing the NCAA National Wrestling Championship in 1950. His dominance extended far beyond the college ranks, as he claimed 3 straight AAU freestyle national titles before taking his talents to the world stage. At the 1952 Helsinki Olympic Games, Bill reached the pinnacle of his sport, winning the Olympic gold medal in the 73-kilogram freestyle category. This achievement cemented his status as a distinguished member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, as well as a member of the Iowa Wrestling and UNI Athletics Hall of Fames. Even after hanging up his singlet, Bill's impact on the sport continued through a prestigious coaching career that included a tenure at the University of Nebraska and serving as the head wrestling coach for Team Canada at the 1968 Mexico City Olympics. In 2008, his hometown of Council Bluffs ensured his legacy would inspire future generations by dedicating the wrestling room at Thomas Jefferson High School in his honor. Bill Smith remains a true gold standard for athletes everywhere, representing the very best of Iowa's wrestling tradition. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Smith. And here to accept the honor on behalf of Bill Smith is Thomas Jefferson Assistant Principal Chris Kate. Next up, we have Georgie Ivanov, a 2008 graduate of Lewis Central. Georgie's wrestling career is a story of resilience, academic excellence, and international achievement. His collegiate journey began at the University of Nebraska, Omaha, where he proved to be as formidable in the classroom as he was on the mat, earning academic All-American honors twice. When the UNO wrestling program was unexpectedly terminated, Georgie demonstrated his tenacity by transferring to Boise State University. He made an immediate impact for the Broncos, securing a second-place finish at the Pac-12 championships during his junior season. Following his collegiate success, Georgie reached the absolute pinnacle of the sport by qualifying for the 2016 Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro. He was representing his home country of Bulgaria in the 74-kilogram freestyle category, and he battled his way to the round of 16. After retiring from the mat following the Rio Games, Georgie transitioned into the coaching ranks, where he continued to shape the future of the sport. While pursuing his master's degree at Maryville University in Missouri, he served as the associate head coach for the Saints wrestling program. Whether competing on the world's biggest stage or mentoring student athletes, Georgie Ivanov has consistently exemplified the dedication and world class that define a true champion. Ladies and gentlemen, Georgie Ivanov. And accepting on behalf of Georgie today is his wife, Whitney. Next up, we have Josh Turek, a graduate of Abraham Lincoln High School in 1997. Josh Turek's career is a masterclass in elite scoring and unwavering leadership. His journey began at Southwest Minnesota State University, where he dominated the court from 1999 to 2002. During his time as a Mustang, Josh was a 4-time team captain, a 4-time MVP, and a 4-time NWBA All-American. He remains the leading scorer in the program's history and was fittingly honored as the university's Male Athlete of the Year for 2001-2002. a legacy that led to his induction into the SMSU Hall of Honor in 2022. Following his collegiate career, Josh took his talents across the Atlantic, enjoying a remarkable 18-year professional career playing overseas. On the international stage, Josh became a cornerstone of the U.S. men's national wheelchair basketball team. A four-time Paralympian, he represented his country with distinction across the globe. His trophy case is a testament to his success at the highest level. He earned a bronze medal at the 2012 London Games and reached the pinnacle of the sport by winning back-to-back Paralympic gold medals in Rio de Janeiro in 2016 and Tokyo in 2020. From the gyms of Southwest Minnesota to the podiums of the Paralympics, Josh Turek has proven himself to be one of the most prolific and decorated athletes to ever play the game. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Turek.
Thank you, firstly, to Iowa West, to Brenda. This is amazing. Really an honor to join all of you gentlemen in this as well. In sports, like in life, we don't go very far alone, and I'm incredibly grateful. I had two parents that worked very, very hard to allow us the opportunities to be able to play sports. I had a brother and a sister that both played professional basketball, and without them, I'm not sure I would have arrived here. We push each other every day. Had a lot of help from the community, honestly, from the YMCA or from Iowa Western letting us go in there every single day to be able to shoot the amount of shots that are required for us to be able to get there. I'm only a product of my community. I owe a great deal to wheelchair basketball. Had it not been for wheelchair basketball, I'm not sure I would have been able to go on to college. I was able to travel the world. I've been able to go to every continent on earth to play wheelchair basketball besides Antarctica. And ultimately was able to meet my wife because of wheelchair basketball. And without a doubt, had it not been for wheelchair basketball or being able to represent the USA, I never would be in the position that I'm in right now, representing Council Bluffs and Carter Lake in the Iowa legislature. Something beautifully amazing to be able to, in sport, to not only just represent a team, but the amazing honor that I had was to be able to represent the entire United States. The Paralympics and the Olympics is one of the things that actually unifies us all. And it really was an honor of my lifetime to not only represent my community, my family, the community of Council Bluffs. And I told the NBC announcers, I said, you make sure that you say Josh Turek from Council Bluffs, Iowa, not from Omaha, Nebraska. But to represent my family, this community, my state, to represent this country. As I see the stars and stripes behind me, it really was. It was an amazing honor of my life to be able to see the stars and stripes raised up and have the honor of my lifetime to be able to win a gold medal. And to the young people here, I want to say, you know, I was not the biggest, I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the strongest. I worked really, really hard. Do not let your situation define you, regardless of, you know, whether you're growing up rich or poor, what community you grow up in. If you work really, really hard, you can achieve your goal. And fall in love with the process of becoming great, because every single one of you has the opportunity to achieve your dreams. And the last thing that I'll say is that anything that you do in sports is immediately applicable. That hard work, that discipline, that work ethic, it immediately is applicable to every other avenue of your life to be able to be successful in. Again, thank you. Great honor to be here. Thank you all. Yes, sure.
Next up, we have Don Chandler. Born in Council Bluffs, Don Chandler stands as one of the most significant specialists in NFL history, a man who helped redefine the roles of kicker and punter during the league's most iconic era, playing for the New York Giants from 1956 to 1964, and the Green Bay Packers under Vince Lombardi from 1965 to 67. Don was a perennial winner. He captured 4 NFL championships and was a vital member of the Packers teams that won Super Bowls 1 and 2. His greatness was cemented by his selection to the NFL's All-Decade Team of the 1960s as a punter and was inducted into the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame